Cameron had always been the pillar of his family, working long hours as a truck driver, pushing through the exhaustion to provide for his wife, Dana. He was proud of his work, proud of the life they'd built together. But that all changed when he found himself lying in a hospital bed, recovering from a heart attack that nearly killed him. It was supposed to be a time for rest, a time for healing, but little did he know, his world was about to shatter in a way he never saw coming. One evening, as Cameron was recovering at his friend Jeff's place, Blake, his longtime friend and lawyer, came to visit. He brought with him a small envelope. Blake's face was grim as he slid the contents across. "The table, what's this?" Cameron asked, his voice weak but curious. Blake's eyes avoided his, and that alone made Cameron's heart skip a beat. Blake didn't look like the type to hold back information, but something about this felt wrong. Blake tapped the envelope. "Look at this, and then we'll talk." Cameron opened it slowly, his fingers trembling as he pulled out the paper. It was a credit card statement, something he'd never paid much attention to before. But as he scanned it, his mind began to race. Hotel charge? Minneapolis? 3 months ago? Cameron muttered, his voice quiet with disbelief. He had been in Seattle that week. There was no way Dana would have been in Minneapolis without telling him. Blake's expression darkened. "It gets worse. The name on the reservation is Harold Jensen." Cameron's heart dropped. Harold. Their neighbor. The one who had sent. Cameron, the strange text about a man being at his house while he was in the hospital. Now it all made sense. Harold and Dana had been more than just neighbors. Blake leaned forward. "It wasn't just Dana doing this. They've been working together, draining your accounts while you were in the hospital." Cameron's blood ran cold. Betrayal didn't even begin to cover the depth of what he was feeling. Dana, the woman he loved, had been hiding something this entire time. She wasn't just careless. This was a plan. A calculated betrayal. "I need to know everything," Cameron said, voice hoarse with anger and disbelief. "What do we do now?" Blake's jaw tightened. "We fight back." The days following Cameron's discovery were filled with anger, pain, and confusion. He spent weeks at Jeff's, trying to heal both physically and emotionally, but it felt like the walls were closing in with every passing day. Blake was relentless. He wasn't going to let Dana and Harold get away with this. Blake kept his promise, working tirelessly behind the scenes, gathering evidence and laying out a strategy. Cameron had to stay patient. Patience wasn't his strong suit, especially now, with everything on the line. Blake had a plan. Build a paper trail of evidence, one they couldn't ignore. Cameron's niece, Megan, worked at the local credit union, and she quickly became invaluable. She noticed strange withdrawals, too many small amounts being transferred between accounts, enough to hide their tracks, but not enough to remain unnoticed. "Megan's been seeing the patterns," Blake told Cameron one evening. "They've got an unauthorized user on your accounts." "Harold," Cameron said, his voice filled with quiet fury. "Exactly," Blake confirmed. "And they're moving money to other accounts. They're setting up a way to disappear." Cameron's heart sank. "I'm being robbed blind." Blake gripped his phone, the urgency in his voice clear. "We need to move faster. I'll file for an emergency injunction." Cameron's pulse quickened. He felt the urgency, too. He wasn't just losing money, he was losing his sense of control. Dana and Harold had crossed a line, and now Cameron was determined to make them pay. Blake filed the injunction as promised, and the next few days were a whirlwind of legal action. Cameron was trying to keep it together, but every piece of evidence Blake presented only made the betrayal feel worse. Dana wasn't just stealing from him. She was planning to leave with Harold, taking everything Cameron had worked for. The breaking point came one afternoon when Cameron received a text from Dana. "We need to talk, just you and me. No lawyers." Cameron stared at the text, his stomach turning. The nerve. After everything she'd done, she wanted to have a private conversation? He forwarded the message to Blake, who immediately told him not to respond. "We can't let them see our hand," Blake warned. The following day, Cameron drove by his house with Jeff. They parked a little ways down the street and watched. They saw Harold's car parked in front of the house, and through the windows, they could make out Dana's silhouette. But something else caught Cameron's eye. Harold had a for sale sign on his lawn. They're planning to leave, Jeff said, his voice low. Cameron clenched his fists, fury bubbling up inside him. Not if I can help it. Blake's plan was simple. Get to the courthouse and freeze their assets before they could flee. As they entered the courthouse, Cameron noticed Dana and Harold outside. They were arguing, their voices harsh and filled with tension. Cameron snapped a photo. This would be the evidence that changed everything. Inside, in front of the judge, the weight of the situation hit Cameron like a freight train. The video of Dana and Harold arguing was played in court. The truth was laid bare. The judge turned to Dana's lawyer, Ms. Wells. Ms. Wells, why has your client been denying her relationship with Mr. Jensen when the video clearly shows otherwise? Dana's face was pale. She knew her lies were unraveling. Court hearing took a sharp turn. Judge Harmon was no nonsense, and he wasn't going to let Dana get away with this. The tension in the room was palpable as Cameron sat, watching Dana squirm under the judge's scrutiny. Mrs. Doyle, the judge asked, do you intend to leave the state with Mr. Jensen? Dana stuttered, but the words didn't come. Her facade was slipping away, piece by piece. Cameron felt a rush of power. This was it. She was finally going to face the consequences of her actions. I don't... The judge cut her off. Let me rephrase. The evidence shows that Mr. Jensen has been selling his property, and you've been withdrawing substantial sums of money while your husband was incapacitated. This is not just a betrayal. This is fraud. Cameron's heart beat loudly in his chest. For the first time since his heart attack, he felt in control. The judge granted an immediate injunction, freezing Dana and Harold's assets. The days following the court ruling were a blur of legal battles and emotional turmoil. Cameron moved back into his home, but it wasn't just a house. It was now a symbol of everything he had fought for. Dana and Harold had tried to take it all, but Cameron had taken it back. The divorce was finalized swiftly. Dana didn't fight. There was nothing left to fight for. Cameron got the house, the truck, and 80% of their savings. Dana got her car and the remaining 20%. Cameron wasn't done. This wasn't just about money. It was about justice. He wanted to make sure Dana understood that no matter how she tried to escape, there were consequences to her actions. Dana left town, disappearing to Minneapolis. Cameron sold the house. Too many memories, too many reminders of what he had lost. He bought a smaller place near Jeff and Megan, finding peace in the quiet. His heart wasn't what it used to be, but he was still alive. One day, while cleaning out old boxes, Cameron found their wedding album. He thought about throwing it away, but instead, he put it back in the box. It wasn't the end of his story. It was just a chapter. Cameron had fought for himself, and in doing so, he found strength he never knew he had. The betrayal had nearly destroyed him, but it had also transformed him. You can't control what others do, he reflected, only how you respond, and he had responded with everything he had.